The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles. The LA Lakers. Back to throw Montana. Step left throws. This fight is over. Floyd Mayweather has a knockout victory over Ricky Hatton. Smiling. Oh! He slapped him! Conor McGregor is the new UFC featherweight champion of the world! Oh, unbelievable!
Put the countdown mic up! Hell no!
Welcome back to Championship Rounds. I have the pleasure of coming in here for a brief segment here with Chris Workman and Chadwick Lee. What's up,
Hey,
fellas?
yo.
What's up?
What up,
All
what
right.
up?
Hope everybody's doing all right. We're here to discuss just a few things, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. Not going to waste time with pleasantries. Let's just hop right into it and get the show on the road. First things first. Everybody knows it by now, Russell Westbrook. He breaks Oscar Robertson's, Big O's record of triple doubles, and now he is at the top of the damn mountain. What is the significance for this for him as a player and the NBA as a whole? Go ahead and take off, Chris.
Well, it just highlights how great Russell Westbrook is, and he's had this is 4 out of 5 years he's averaged a triple double. So people thought he was just stat padding, but he's really just making history. So he's and I'm a little biased. Russell Westbrook, one of my top 5 players of all time. Love to watch him. So if Russ could shoot just a little bit better, we're talking by far the greatest player ever. So he does everything else so good. If he shot like Steph Curry, there's nobody better than him. So sorry, MJ.
Sounds like a lot of
But-
hits.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the big one. Steph Curry's the best shooter. But I'm saying Russell Westbrook is so great. People undervalue him for what he does and take for granted how great he is. It's not easy to be a point guard getting 10 plus rebounds on top of the crazy. He'll have 20 some assists or, shit's wild. So a lot of love for Russ. He's the man. So
Chad?
I feel like for Russ, absolutely, it's capable of what he's accomplished. I mean, this is a record they've said would never be broke. I mean, to do something that could never be done, I mean, for him, that has to be an achievement. For the NBA, I think it's almost a step back because triple doubles used to be held to a pristine level. You got a triple double that day, you got a triple double, and now there's something you can do just out there playing with his buddies and stuff. I mean, so it kind of brings the level of it down a little bit to me.
Where do you see Russell because of this great feat that he's accomplished, as you put it, beating a record that they said would never be broken? Where do you think this puts him, overall in the NBA's landscape of great players?
I mean, he's the tier of no championship ring guys. First of all, you got to start off. I mean, and for Chris to sit here and say if he had a jumper like Curry, he'd be the greatest ever. I mean, I don't know if this dude's still trying to wake up a little bit this morning or what.
Hey, Russ does everything though. He's such a facilitator. He's definitely one of the best point guards of all time. So, but yeah, he's definitely in the top tier players who didn't win a championship. So
I think he's definitely one of the most entertaining players in the NBA. But would you want this guy on your team?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and spin off.
I would because every great player that's played alongside Russ has had the best years of their career, no matter who it is.
Not him.
While they're playing with him, KD had the best years of his career.
He won a
with Russ.
championship
But
without
was
Russ.
he having the best years of his career though?
That doesn't mean that but still. And what was that team after he left and Serge Ibaka left? They had Cameron Payne as backup. There's problems on that team that weren't Russ's fault. That's not why they lost. It was because of him. So, but Paul George had the best year of his career with Russ. Now Bradley Beal. So I'm just saying he definitely doesn't hurt the best player on the team. He can play alongside them just fine, no matter who they are. So
if I'm a superstar, I don't want him on my team. If I'm a KD. If I'm a superstar, I don't want Russell Westbrook. If I'm
Elaborate on that. Why would you not want him on your team?
If I'm just a player who needs to feed off someone, absolutely, he's a player. But as far as me being the superstar and me trying to Batman and Robin with this guy, he plays. He tries to do things that I should be doing. That LeBron should be doing, that KD should be doing. Russ tries to get them late shot games. That's not his job. That's not his. He's going to hold a superstar role player. He's going to elevate them. But a superstar, you don't want beside you.
All right.
He's been beside plenty of superstars. And he hasn't won an NBA championship.
Facts.
But them superstars leaving, go get with other superstars. They win championships.
James Harden had like the best year of his career with Russ.
No championship.
So, he didn't win the championship with Chris Paul either, who's like the floor general, the best point guard. You see what he does for bad teams.
So. I'm gonna have to slide in here at some point, so I'm gonna go ahead and slide in and spin off of what you guys said. Now I'm gonna let you know off the gate. What I'm gonna say is gonna come off as 100% Westbrook hate. You're gonna call me a Westbrook hater, and probably rightfully so. I'm gonna be very critical of this man, and I feel like that's also rightfully so. But listen here, Russell Westbrook had Kevin Durant for 8 seasons. Everybody knows it. They have went to two Western Conference Finals and 1 NBA Finals, I believe it was. And they lost in all of those games, obviously. So at the end of the day, since KD has left, Russell Westbrook has left the first round of the playoffs one time against a team that he just departed, along with Paul George, being the Oklahoma City Thunder, with, in my opinion, a better point guard in Chris Paul, who is good on the offensive side of the ball and also a 7-time first-team All-NBA defense selection as well. Russell Westbrook had, like you said, Chad, you said that the NBA is taking a step back because of the significance of a triple-double has dulled because Westbrook is getting so many. For him, that's a good problem to have. Well, from my eyes, it's being watered down. Like, are we supposed to be up in arms in celebration about triple-doubles at this point when it doesn't come with that cherry on top at the end, meaning a championship? I mean, come on. He's had great players on his team. He puts up numbers. We know he can ball. But how much of this is fool's gold, guys? Like, be real.
Okay, so 2 things. For one, it's not that easy to get a triple-double or everybody would do it. So, second of all, if you look at the win-loss percentage of when he does get a triple-double, it's pretty high.
Why doesn't that translate to the postseason? Why does that not translate to the postseason?
Because he just hasn't been on a team to be able to do that.
No,
definitely not on the Thunder.
I'll tell you why.
Definitely not on the Thunder.
The postseason, you're playing the same team in a 7-game series. The postseason, you're playing the same team in a 7-game series. Regular season, you're playing a different team every single night. When a team has time to prepare for you for a 7-game series, it's a different freaking story. That style of play, to me, and by the numbers, does not translate to playoff victories. Go ahead, guys.
I mean, I'm gonna give it up to him just to go and play with as much heart and throw his body to the wolves like he does. And to sustain the career he has is a milestone by itself. Westbrook has a lot of individual records. Nothing. Not saying he's stat padding. I'm just saying his style of play does not translate to help a team go to.
Right.
Well, it was helping the Thunder when they were having the deep runs when they were such a young team. So
how much?
I don't see what he didn't hinder Kevin Durant getting MVP. It's not his fault they couldn't seal the deal in Game 6 or Game 7 against Golden State the year before KD went there. So I
And he
mean,
choked it up.
Hey guys, last thing on this, because we're just gonna get through this quickly today. Last thing on this is a question that I'm gonna present to you. Kevin Durant, we all know that he's a better player than Russell Westbrook. And if we don't know, if you guys have different opinion, that's fine, fair play. But in my opinion, and I feel like it's a consensus, Kevin Durant's a better player than Russell Westbrook.
Consensus.
Kevin Durant on that same Thunder team, you add Chris Paul, you take Westbrook away, do they win the title?
No.
Why?
Because of the other elite teams that are still out there. They still beat Golden State.
But you just said that his style isn't predicated on taking the team to the championship.
look, don't try to put Chris Paul on a pedestal just yet, because although he's done good with bad franchises in his first year, he also hasn't reached the promised land himself.
Absolutely.
So he's underachieved with it was one thing after another with the Clippers in those years where they had a chance. But it's not like he's just now tell you the problem that Chris Paul has is damn near the same problem that Russell Westbrook has. But look what all the other things Russell Westbrook can do besides scoring, because Chris Paul can
Besides
score.
scoring, are you kidding? Chris Paul is good on both sides of the ball. He's been recognized 7 times, first team.
Okay, I'm saying though, but he's not getting rebounds and assists like Russell Westbrook has. But that's not to take away his leadership abilities and what he brings to a team. But when it comes to just scoring and, hey, Chris, you need to give us more points. You're our star player. We need more production offensively from you. He's not delivered that. He couldn't deliver that. And that's why he's right there with one of those with the great players that haven't won a championship either. So, but yeah, let's not act like Chris Paul is better than Russell Westbrook.
I think he is, but close it out, Chad.
We got off on this Chris Paul thing, but Westbrook, great player. I mean, just a rapid player. Will never make it to the promised land. Just not the guy that's going to franchise there. I mean, like I said, if he was the demise of them in Oklahoma City, he's the reason KD left. He's the reason they couldn't make it work because, like I said earlier, he couldn't be that. He couldn't be that Robin. He wanted to be KD. Bro, you're not me. Step back, get your assist, get your rebound, give me the ball, and let me take us to the promised land. That's not what he wanted to do.
All right.
I think Russ's field goal percentage is the thing that it's just so inconsistent from game to game. If it was more consistent, then I think I think Russ was even confused of what the type of player he was or is going to be or whatever at some point. There's just a lot of athleticism, a lot of skill, and he's really good.
Confused what player he is.
Yeah, he's also a suspect from the line, but let's go ahead and move on. I think we spent a generous amount of time on that. We're going to go ahead and segue to the next subject here. And it's just as simple. The NBA has changed by leaps and bounds, and it's always changing. There's players from the past that are assumed to not perform at high grade as they did in their era. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this off with a player like John Stockton, the NBA's leader in assists and steals. Would he fare well in today's NBA amidst all the changes? And Chad, you've got a pretty inflammatory opinion on this, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick this one off.
All right, so man, I can't take anything away from John Stockton, Chris Mullin, the guys from back in the day. But these days, they're going to translate to these days. Who's he for against? Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry? I mean, who's he performing against these? Who was guarding back then? I don't even know these guys' names that was guarding him then. But these days, it's a better competition. Guys are faster, more athletic, can jump higher. They can. John stand a chance, boy. I mean, and I hate to say this, but it was called the white boy effect. Like, he's just not that athletic enough to compensate the lack of skill level that he would bring to the game these days.
Chris?
Now, John Stockton, I think he could hold his own in today's game. Bob Cousy, Now we're reaching back in time, but I think these guys from the '90s were very capable of playing in today's time. It wasn't that they're not that far removed. All right, so John Stockton. There's also more room in the court to work with. So I think John Stockton. I think these guys who were good can still be good today. So there's the Goran Dragics of the world who do good. I mean, it's not like every single person is so great athletically that he just doesn't stand a chance. I mean, he was really good. He led the league in assists year after year. So, and on defense, he could score. He'd get more open shots in today's game. Yeah, I think he'd be all right. Do I think he's going to win a championship with him as your best player? No, and not even back then. So,
You got anything to add to that, Chad, before we move on to the next player?
I mean, I'm just saying, you say he could hold his own. Who could he hold his own against? Look at the NBA point guards today. Who could he hold his own against? Who's he scoring against? Who's he still in the ball?
You saying he wouldn't be an all-star player?
Absolutely not. He'd be a role player if he didn't even get on the bench. I mean, look at Kyrie. Guard Kyrie. He's going to guard Steph Curry. Who's he guarding?
It's true. It's true.
He's going to be a defensive liability. You think James Harden's a defensive liability? John Stockton,
right.
He's going to put up. Oh, we got Stockton. Oh, yeah, give me the ball. Put up 40. I mean, who's he guarding?
Yeah, and Jeff Hornacek, that backcourt, yikes.
Yeah,
in today's game. But
I mean, the man's been recognized. You just said they're not far removed from the '90s. The man's been recognized several times defensively.
Yeah, he's like a top 50 player of all time. That we're
Against
kind of
who?
shitting on right
Top 50
now.
players list.
Against the guys
Who's he
he had to
defending?
face.
Who's defending?
I mean, there were some players out there in that era, bro.
Yeah.
Who?
I mean, you put these players
They
today
had to-
in
they
such
had-
high regard, but there's just as much trash players today as there were then.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of trash players today.
Right.
John
One
Stockton would have been
player that
fine.
he would-
How many All-Star games he would have been in is debatable, but he would have still been a good player in today's
He
game.
wouldn't have made any All-Star games because the game's about the flash and throwing the lobs, and the Steph Curry dribbles and handles, and he's straight fundamental, in bounce pad, like he's not making All-Star teams. It's not his play style.
All right, let me put a button on John Stockton by just saying this. If John Stockton played in this era, in my opinion, he'd have all the advantages of all the technology that the players have today to train, to recover, etc. And based on you guys' logic, or your logic rather, Chad, of there being better players, who is he going to guard, who is he going to be stealing the ball from, etc. That means he has better players to pass the ball to, better players on his team. If the players today are so much better, let's just go ahead. Oscar Robertson, athletic, definitely athletic. But he didn't get a title until he went to Milwaukee, teamed up with
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Thank you, Chris. And he got the title there in his 11th year, well out of his best years. I mean, his best years were behind him. Chris, I'm going to start with you on this player, because what do you think he would have done in this day and age?
I think he would have been a good player too, but I'm old, but I'm not old enough that I watched Oscar Robertson play. So I mean, so I can't really tell you, man. All I can say is I would assume
he was productive.
Look, my take on the guys back then is that I think that the best players would have been decent in today's game. How good, comparable, I don't know, but I don't think they would have just been like bench players or something. I think they would have been fairly decent players. Oscar Robertson, these other guys. So, I mean, yeah,
Chad?
that's kind of the end of my take on that.
It's always going to work for anyone is height. I mean, you can't teach height. You can't, 6'8", 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. You can't teach that. So he's still going to have and he's athletic. It's gonna put him up in the conversation just because of them two factors right there. Regardless of anything he can do, he's tall, he's athletic. You got bums in the league now. They're just tall and athletic. So as long as you're tall and athletic, you have anything really.
All right. Well, I agree with both of your takes. I mean, I think Oscar Robinson, I'm not old enough to have watched him play in his heyday. I can only look at the numbers and the tapes after the fact. So based on his production, though, given, like I said with Stockton, having all the benefits of today, I also feel like he would be productive. And I'm just going to say, I feel like every player that performed at a high level, in their era, if they played in today's NBA and had all those advantages, like, it's hard to say they wouldn't be productive. I mean, as good as you think the players are today, I mean, that is just giving them better teammates, right?
They've been like 10 championships in a row, right? I mean, you got it.
Well, I'm not going to go ahead and say all that. I mean, I'm just saying that I don't think if there is a fall off with their production, I don't think it's going to be a fall off of a mountaintop at all. I mean,
position.
Yeah, it depends who. Now, I think the average basketball player today is better than the average basketball player back then. But there's also so many advantages we got now. We got to see those players in the past and got to see how to evolve from that. So
I think power forwards back then would have a hard time in these Malone and stuff like that. The power forwards these days, they can shoot, they're more athletic, they pat the rock. Karl Malone's going to have a problem with them guys and staying with them guys. And so I really think it's a position, like center from back then and plug him in here because, like I said, he's still going to be tall. But a Karl Malone, he's not going to be fast enough, and just be able to do.
I think Karl Malone would be all right.
I'm sorry.
Karl Malone would be okay. Karl Malone was money from 20 feet out. He could shoot, and he was big and strong.
But Karl Malone today that he was back then, that decade talent, that generational. If he played in the league now, will we still talk about him in 10 years?
I get what you're saying. You're saying would he have performed at the same level that he did back then?
I mean, he still didn't win a championship back then.
Right. Right. Now? Yeah, they actually underperformed in a lot of playoff series back then against Portland and other teams too when they had chances when they were really good. But so yeah, not big on them overall. But I still can't deny that Karl Malone was like an unbelievable jump shooter. So I think that would translate to today's game. So he was big and strong. Like there's guys today that are not like big and strong and that are good. So,
but they're fat.
I think athletes. Yeah.
Karl Malone, 3. He gonna be able to, this power forward, point guard now and dribbling the ball up the court and going behind his back. He gonna be able to handle it, like stuff like that. He gonna be able to handle it.
Right, that's true.
All right,
People I was more gonna position back then.
I was gonna bring in a couple more players here, but I think based on what we've said about the first two, I mean, you guys have pretty much covered.
Everyone.
You get what I'm saying. Like, that pretty much goes on to any player in those areas. You know what I mean? How the challenges that they might face coming to today's NBA. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that segment there and move on to the LA Lakers, the Lake Show. Everybody's saying, well, a lot of pundits are saying that LeBron James is declining. Father Time is catching up with him. He's becoming injury prone along with Anthony Davis. Do the boys get it together? The defending NBA champions, do they get it together for the playoffs and make a run for a championship?
Yeah. Talking about LeBron now. Stop it. Does he get it together? When does he get it together for the playoffs?
I mean, that's a good point.
That's all I'm saying about. We're talking about LeBron. We're talking about LeBron now.
We're talking about 37-year-old LeBron now, though.
He was 36 last year.
Well, okay. But so my answer to this question is no. I don't think that they can get it together.
What is
because
not getting it together? Like getting put out in the first round, second round,
not
getting it
I mean,
together.
anything less than the
not
NBA,
winning at all.
anything short of the NBA Finals is a letdown.
First of all, this is what's going to happen. James Harden's about to come back tonight, okay? And
We hope he does. We need
LeBron's
more
going to come back tonight.
turnovers.
The Brooklyn Nets are going to fly to the NBA Finals, and they're going to beat whoever they face. In my opinion, I think the Denver Nuggets are going to be the team to beat in the West,
So they're a problem, huh?
Definitely
and
a problem.
not the Lakers. Problem with the Lakers is they've been so piss poor without, and as far as injury prone, Anthony Davis has been injury prone. So, but this is just LeBron's first little dealing with it. So it was a shortened season. They played in the bubble last year. Whatever, you know what I mean? Get it together. So, but I don't know. There's just the other teams in there that I don't think that are that great, but I still think are good enough to cause the Lakers problems. The Clippers, the Suns, the Nuggets.
You got anything to add, Chad?
I mean, the Lakers definitely. I mean, it's always been stacked. You know, what I mean, the Lakers definitely have. It's not like, oh yeah, just pencil LeBron into the every year, but I mean, it's LeBron now. I think as long as his role players still do what they're supposed to do, you know, as long as Anthony Davis can stay healthy, LeBron's still going to be LeBron. I'm so different until Father Time comes up and hits him in the head with a hammer and prove differently. Why would you put your money anything less? I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe the Mavs are. I mean, the Mavs are. I mean, you have the Clippers who underperformed last year, so you know George and Kawhi. You know they had this chip on their shoulder and show them, you know, that last year was a fluke. And whoever does get there, they're going to have their hands full with them Nets. It's going to be a really good playoffs this year.
The Clippers have the number one 3-point percentage in the NBA right now. So
That's one 3-point defensive percentage in the NBA as well. So when they can get back to full health, I'm telling you, it's going to be good games. And don't count LeBron out. You just said no, they're not going. Come on, man.
Listen, a lot's resting on what happens with Schroeder too. What's his deal? Is he coming back? Is he not?
I mean, you can think on a healthy team. You know, I'm talking about a healthy team.
Right. So we'll see. AD's had like one good game in the past 2 months or so. So we'll see what happens here. But
to me, LeBron being injured is almost getting rest. Being injured is almost getting rest. Schroeder now is almost getting rest. Are they really hurt, or are they really just prepare for the playoffs?
We don't know.
I think he's really hurt because he tried to come back and play, and it didn't work out so well for him. He realized it's still hurting. And then he could have came back last night and played, but he's like, we got a back-to-back. We let's go ahead and do it tomorrow. So
there you go.
If that money and your ultimate goal is the championship. Your ultimate goal isn't to beat the Phoenix Suns, you know, on May 8th. The ultimate goal is to win a championship. So if you don't want to play that back until these times, the ultimate goal is a championship, especially for LeBron. How many years does he have left? I mean, really, before Father Time is all right, old man, like it's time to sit your ass down. So their ultimate goal is a championship. So whatever they do from now, as long as they're prepared, come 0 dark 30 time, watch out. This man's gonna take you there. Sit back, put on your seatbelt, and enjoy the ride.
As a diehard Lakers fan, like I am, like I can't have nothing but faith that they're gonna get it together and run right back to the finals and win that motherfucker, no matter who they're playing. Brooklyn, I don't care. They're a bad matchup for anybody, in my opinion. Like the Clippers have the best 3-point percentage, as you said, Chris. Lakers best defense for 3-pointers. Like Lakers are a bad matchup for anyone, and at the end of the day, when LeBron and AD get going, who the hell is gonna stop them? And at this point, with LeBron aging, who's going to stop AD? Everybody can do these great numbers and put up great statistics in the regular season. But as you said, Chad, what matters is that postseason. The goal is a title. Anybody got anything else to add to this before we move on?
Yeah, I do. I think that if we would have seen more than like 9 games with Kyrie, KD, and and James Harden together, then we would be sitting here talking about how it's going to be crazy if they even have a chance, because those guys together unstoppable. No
You
one
thought
can
the
beat
same
them.
thing about LeBron when he beat Golden State in Golden State for the championship. You thought there's no way LeBron can beat these guys again. He
Facts.
won the championship. Come on, man. We're putting our chips on LeBron.
Hey, at the end of the day,
LeBron didn't. They won. They won the year that Klay Thompson was injured.
Klay
and
Thompson.
the Clippers were all 100% healthy.
No, I'm talking about
Talking about when
they
he won
won in 2016 when the Cavs won.
I mean, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. The Cavs. Were the Cavs 100%?
And Draymond
punched LeBron in the groin and got suspended for Game 7 or some shit like that.
Right, yeah.
But still, no one gave LeBron a chance. Even
there was injuries on both sides, is what I'm trying to.
Even gave
but
LeBron
I'm saying they didn't. Yeah, LeBron didn't have a chance to beat him when they had KD, and he didn't beat him when they had KD. And it's going to be the same thing when KD's on Brooklyn. No chance.
All right. Well, that remains to be seen. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and move on here. Last thing we're going to talk about. This show is really going to kick off. It's really hot during the NFL season. A lot of money to be had via DraftKings and other betting sites and apps. There you go. Listen, let's just go ahead and say it. NFL Kickoff 2021 starts out with America's team, whatever the hell that means. The Cowboys versus the defending champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When do you guys jump in first on this one? How do you see this one going?
I'll let him go. I just want to say real quick, though, Patriots America's team, but go ahead.
I mean, everybody knows the Cowboys are going to be the Cowboys, so you never know what you're going to get. I was born and bred a Cowboys fan. I didn't have a chance but to be the Cowboys. I seen Deion Sanders when I was a kid, and I was sold on them ever since. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. They'll grab you by your heart and rip it out almost every year, but you got to figure – we finally have Dak back. He came back off injury. Hopefully he has a good little preseason and, camps and all that. Hopefully you don't have any setbacks. Zeke last year, I think once Dak got hurt, he kind of, just kind of sailed through the season and wasn't really devoted into it. Being an NFL player, you got to devote every second, of every game. And I think Zeke just lost his motivation last year. Once a superstar realizes, hey, this year's through, why am I going to sit here and kill myself to not even make the playoffs? You kind of cash it in. But you never know what Cowboys you're going to get. I'm excited to see this game, especially if we get, put to the test our first game of the year. How about them Cowboys? Let's go. Let's go. Why would they put America's team against the defending champions first week? There's a reason for that. And we had a good draft this year. We are ready. We're going to make a couple more offseason little moves, tighten this defense up a little bit more. I'm telling you, watch out week 1.
Workman?
So every Cowboys team that Tom Brady has faced, he's beat because he's 5-0 against the Cowboys in his career. So I think it's going to be 6-0, and I think they're going to be double-digit favorites. And the banner's coming down, the rings are coming out, all on that night. And so I think the celebration is just going to continue through the game and through the night. So for the Bucks.
Finally got their payday on Tampa Bay. Shaq Barrett, finally got his payday. A couple more players finally got their payday. Let's see if they're still as hungry this year. They won the championship. They got paid. Now what's my motivation?
I think their motivation is, I think they can go, I think they think they can go undefeated this year in the first extended season ever. So we'll see how that plays out for them. But I don't know how they're going to do the whole season, but I can guarantee they're going to be pumped up week 1 on that Thursday night to open up the season as Super Bowl champions at home.
So when the Cowboys put that first L on them, there goes their undefeated season quick. Huh?
That's what Cowboys fans are hoping.
All right. Well, let me jump in here real quick. If I may. Week 1, it's hard for me to say that a pedestrian team like the team the Cowboys put on the field last season. I know Dak was hurt, but I mean, it's not like they were blowing the doors off it when Dak was healthy.
He was leading in passing.
I mean, how much of that translated to wins? It's the defense is porous. I'm not crapping on
And
that.
for how long
I'm
was
crapping on the
that?
defense. They couldn't stop anybody. They couldn't stop the worst. They can't stop the worst teams in the NFL from scoring. I mean, so how do you think they're going to do against the defending champions who have all of their weapons back? It's hard for me to pick them in this game, and I'll definitely have a parlay for week 1, and this is going to be one of my locks. Buccaneers over the Cowboys. Like, that's going to be a parlay mainstay for me. So,
Money too. I like that.
as far as the Buccaneers and what they plan to do or what they think they're capable of this upcoming season, let me go ahead and pump the brakes on that because my boys are healthy this season. We're 2 years removed from the Super Bowl now, and we were hurt last season. We're gonna be a damn problem, and you heard it here first.
Cowboys, where we get off on non-playoff teams again.
I can't talk football without bringing up the 49ers, buddy.
Right.
Like the talk of them going undefeated. Hey, the talk of them going undefeated didn't sit well with me. Grinded my gears a little bit. Like, you guys aren't gonna. I ain't gonna say you guys because you're a Patriots fan, but Tom Brady is not gonna get past the 49ers this year. That's gonna be the that's gonna be the fork in the road from where you're either going right to the Super Bowl or left to the couch.
With their rookie quarterback.
Listen, we got a rookie quarterback in. We still got veteran quarterback. We're healthy. It's the point.
He's at the strip club with his porn-star girlfriend, bro. He can't get out.
Listen, when healthy, we are a Super Bowl caliber team. When healthy, we're a Super Bowl caliber team. We're healthy. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want to pump your head up or anything, but if I was you, I'd be feeling pretty good right now about bringing in Trey Lance and with all the injuries and setbacks you guys had last year and what you got to look forward to this year. So whatever. But yeah, I would be pretty pumped if I was you. But I ain't you though. So F y'all.
All right, fellas. That's the last thing we're talking here. Does anybody got anything else to add or plug or to say before we get
Cowboys? I'm telling you, all them parlay picks, the locks against the Cowboys. Watch out for them. Watch out for them boys. I'm gonna tell you now. Watch out for them boys.
Hey, who's ever watching? Don't listen to this guy. He's gonna lose your money, Chris.
Put my money back over Trey Lance every day.
Well, I don't know. We'll see about that. I mean, the jury's obviously still out on Trey Lance, but it kind of still is out on Dak too. But we'll see.
All right. I want to thank you guys. Go ahead.
Hey, don't forget, call Workman Carpet Care for all your carpet cleaning and upholstery cleaning needs.
Hey, 100%.
We're the best.
100%. All right. Hey, I want to thank you guys for being on again. Got to do this again soon. Yeah, there it is. Championship rounds. Tune in next time. Stay frosty.